Hey guys, Matt here with BuiltRight Industries. Today I'm going to walk you through the installation of the BuiltRight Industries seat back MOLLE panel kit for your Chevy Tahoe or Suburban, and also your GMC Yukon. Let's get into it. Open up the box here and show you what's included in the kit. This is a lot like our other seat back MOLLE kits. Our lower bracket, a hardware kit. I'll open this up once we're in the truck. This is the upper bracket. It's going to attach to the headrest posts. And then finally, the steel MOLLE panel itself. So I'm going to grab the two brackets and the hardware kit, and we'll go in the back of the truck. All right, so we're in the back of this Tahoe here. You may notice the Tahoe is a little bit unique. We borrowed this from our friends at the local fire department who are excited to have us help them get this vehicle set up. So your vehicle may look a little bit different, but rest assured the seat frame and this installation is going to be the same. So the very first step is I'm going to loosen the upholstery down here to get access to the seat frame on the bottom, which is where we're going to mount the lower bracket. There's a flap down here that is attached via just a little bit of elastic. Couple of clips, and there we go. And then over on the side of the seat here, sometimes depending on your package, there'll be a zipper here. You can unzip it a little bit in order to get cleaner access, but I don't have that on this truck. We do have another flap down here. You can see it's a plastic, like a J-channel, that's locking this lower upholstery to the upper upholstery. So I'm gonna get my fingers in here. I may need a little pry tool just to pop this apart, and then we'll have access to the frame. So the trick that's working for me on these, as you can see, it's just these two interlocking J-channels. A little bit like siding, if you've ever used that. I'm gonna pull it to the side and then just kind of give it a twist. So pulling it to the side is gonna disengage some of it. And then, so there you go, you can see the seat frame here. Looks like there's already one clip undone here, but typically these would both be over this. And we're gonna unhook them because this is the surface we're gonna mount our lower bracket to here. All right, so because our lower bracket's gonna sit nice and tight against this frame, it's gonna sneak between the harnesses and the frame here. I'm gonna use a tool to release these push clips here. And our bracket does have a spot where we're gonna be able to pop those back in. All right, so we've got our hardware kit open here. Biggest thing here is the two CNC machined headrest loops along with the foam pad that we'll install before installing these. And then we've got a variety of hardware that I'm gonna show you where we use those on each of the two brackets here in a second. And then we've got the two Allen key sizes that you're gonna need. So the only other thing that you should need for this install is a 3/8" socket for these bolts, 7/16 wrench for these nuts. All right, so the next thing we're gonna do is install our lower bracket. There's a couple of notches here. We're gonna have those notches up towards the top, but if you need a sanity check, you want the bracket to be angled basically back and away from the seat. So I don't know if you can tell here, but you can see that the tabs for the bracket are angled away. So I'm gonna slip them in just like that. All right, so we've got our bracket in place here. I'm gonna put a bolt through the back here. You'll kind of feel that on the back of this seat frame, there's a channel. The bolt will sit really nicely in there. And then we're gonna place a washer, followed by 1/4 20 nut, which will just get started loosely there. And then we'll do the same thing over on the far side. Next, we do a 7/16 socket to tighten this nut while we hold the back side of the bolt here with a 3/8" wrench. And we will repeat that on the far side here. You're gonna notice it's a little hard to get a wrench on the back of this bolt head because of the contour of this frame, but it is possible. All right, so the last thing we're gonna do before we button this up is to re-secure these wiring harnesses. Because the wiring harness can be in a different position based on these screw clips in some vehicles, you can either reach through the slot back to one of the original holes here, or we've provided additional holes here that you could even zip tie to if you want. So it looks like this one's gonna fit back into a slot here. This one isn't gonna fit into that slot because the tree clip's a little shorter, but I'm gonna push it in right here. So get everything tidied up. Pull these brackets back around. Re-engage the J-channel here, and then tuck this elastic back under the same loop that you grabbed it from, and we'll move up to the top bracket. All right, so before I get into the upper bracket, I'm just gonna get these loop brackets prepped. This foam should be cut relatively close to the length needed, but you may need to trim it after installing it. You can also just leave it a little long, no big deal. This is gonna protect your headrest loops, but more importantly, just keep these from sliding too easily. So these are both ready. I've got our upper bracket here. They're gonna install like this or on the headrest post. So I've got the headrest bracket up here. I've got a loop. I'll try and give you a shot here, but once you're in here, it's gonna be really clear. Use one of the smaller bolts. Some of the hardware in here looks pretty similar. Some of it is number 12, some of it is 1/4 So you want some of the smaller diameter bolts with a washer, and just get them started loosely. We're gonna get both loops installed, started loosely just like that, before you make any final adjustments. So with all of this installed loosely, I'm going to start to use the lighter colored Allen key here, which is the correct size for these fasteners, to snug everything up. I really don't want the bracket pushing into the upholstery, so I'm going to lift it up just slightly. There'll be time to fine tune that while we're installing the panel too, so just get it so it's not moving around too much while we're doing that. That feels good right there. So the next thing we're going to do is install the panel. The top and bottom of this panel are not exactly the same. The top has a notch on one side and not on the other. The reason that's important is it places one of the slots here in the center, which is where we're gonna bolt our top bracket to. So if you were to flip it over, this panel is gonna be shifted to one side or the other. Not a huge deal, but it's worth noting. So the next thing I'm gonna do is grab the remaining 3 number 12 button head screws with washers and loosely install them in these 3 locations. Getting close here. I've got 2 more 1/4 bolts and nuts. The panel's gonna line up. These 2 slots are gonna intersect. I'm gonna put the fastener through the front, reach around the back, which can be a little bit tight, to get the nuts started there. So one of the things you're gonna notice is that as we're tightening these down, they're gonna be a little bit preloaded on the panel. That helps get the panel away from the upholstery. Depending on your trim level, it also is going to add some rigidity to the panel. Next, before I tighten down the bottom, I'm going to snug up the top here, get everything nice and centered the way I want it, and then we'll tighten the bottom. And last step is to come over here to the top bracket and finish tightening down the loops. You don't need to really crank on them, just enough to keep them snug, keep them from sliding around. All right, so just like that, the BuiltRight Industries seatback MOLLE panel is installed in this Tahoe. As you saw, quick and easy. If you have any questions or feedback though, please feel free to reach out via email, give us a phone call, or find us in the comments, and we'll get back to you. Thanks for watching.